Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome to the chat, to the hackathon, and to all the participants. My name is Paul Kennedy. I'm Zindi's Chief of Staff, and today we've got a really, really exciting day planned. 8 hours of hacking on a really amazing problem provided to us by our partners, Yango. Um, I hope that you can all hear me very clearly and that you're all tuned in from all over Zambia. Um, and I hope you're excited for a great day on Zindi. Um, so for many of you, this will be the first time that you're using Zindi, so I'll make sure to go through the hackathon format and the rules and how to work. We're going to try and provide as much support as we can, as much guidance as we can. But please do try to use the chat to ask any questions. The YouTube chat, you can use the discussion forums on Zindi. You can ask mentors who will be present at University of Lusaka, and in general, just if you're not sure of how something works or how to participate or how to move forward, please just make sure you ask, because that's the best way to learn and to get ahead in this sort of challenge and competition. So before I go any further, I'd like to say a very big thank you and a very warm welcome to our colleagues at Yango. Yango are sponsoring and powering this competition. They are providing the data set that you're going to be working on today, and they are really, really excited to be supporting data science in Zambia. So let me start this off. As I said, a very warm welcome to the Lusaka Mobility Prediction Hackathon, powered by Yango and hosted on Zindi. So I'd like to just take you through a short agenda for today. Right now, we're working on a welcome and housekeeping. That's with me. We're going to hear a welcome to the hackathon from Kasonda Chewe, a representative from Yango. Then we will hear a little bit more about how Zindi works and specific details of this particular challenge, what challenge you're going to be working on, what problem you're going to be trying to solve. Then one of our data scientists, Amy Bray, will walk you through a starter notebook that will show you how to build your very first model. If you've never done this kind of thing before, it'll give you some exploration of the data set that we're working with, and it will hopefully also give you some ideas. This is a time for you guys to ask questions as well. And you're all very welcome, and please don't feel shy, or there's no such thing as a silly question. Please use the opportunity to ask as many questions as you like. Then in just under an hour's time, the hackathon will launch and go live. From that point, you'll be able to download the data, you'll be able to start working on the challenge, and you'll be able to make submissions and get a score on the Zindi platform. You'll have 8 hours to hack, after which time we'll close the hackathon, and a few minutes after that, we'll announce the winners. Final winners do take some time because we need to review the code, but these will be the provisional winners announcement, and most likely that the winners won't change. You may or may not know this, but this is a hackathon open only to Zambians, so you should all have a really good chance of winning and doing well. Before I go any further, I'd also like to acknowledge Yasin Ayami from the Zambia AI community, who's graciously volunteered to be present as an ambassador and as a mentor for all of you. So thank you to Yasin for helping out and for helping to make this a success. So before I go on to the competition info, I would like very much to welcome Kasonda Chewe from Yango to give you a few words. Kasonde, welcome. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're coming across clear. Over to you, Kasonde.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Once again, welcome to this hackathon powered by Yango. I'm just going to give you a brief description of what Yango is or what Yango does. I'm sure most students are very familiar with Yango because they usually use it frequently. So, at the core, Yango is an international tech company that provides mobility services through our super app. We're operating in 20 plus countries, that is in Africa, Latin America, and across the Middle East. We generally just help people to get to the destination quickly, safely, and affordably. At the core of our business is basically technology. So P1 is we're a technology company before anything else. So we do our, unlike um, most companies, we do our in-house. We've built our own in-house technology, which is the mapping and the routing system, the machine learning, the algorithms that determine the closest driver to you is built in-house as well. So basically, that's the main thing about Yango. We've been in the country since end of March last year. After that, since the taxi launch, we've launched the daily and delivery services. We're hoping to grow the service not just here in Lusaka on the Copper Belt, but we're trying to see if we can get to other parts of the country. Thank you very much and happy coding.
Thank you so much, Kasonde. Great to have Yango with us. We really appreciate the support. I think that everybody tuning in and everybody participating today also appreciates Yango's presence on the continent and what you're bringing in terms of allowing people to participate in this kind of challenge and learn through the data that you're sharing. So very happy to have you with us. So, as I've mentioned, the Mobility Prediction Hackathon today is powered by Yango. The competition will run from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central African time on Saturday. So just a one-day hackathon. So make sure you put everything into it today. You don't have too much time. The objective of this challenge is to create a machine learning model that determines the average traffic speed in Lusaka at different times of the day. Um, there are a few, I mean, there are a lot of rules that we always have for all of these hackathons that you can access at the on the competition page. But for now, just a few things to note. You're welcome to work alone or in teams of up to 4. We really do encourage teaming up, especially for those of you who've never worked on this kind of thing before. It's a great way to learn and grow your data science skills. The competition is only open to Zambians. There is a chance that you won't be able to access the competition. That is most likely because your country is not listed as Zambia. We'd also encourage you to list your university or place of work on Zindi, and Amy will show you how to do that a little bit later. If you haven't yet joined the competition, please do so now. You can go to bit.ly/Yango Hack Lusaka. You can also find it under the hackathon section of the compete page on Zindi. And if you do have any problems, we will also be able to share the link with you. In fact, I'm going to pop it into the chat right now. And it is also in the comment section of the YouTube live stream. So I'm really, really excited to say that we are able to offer $1,000 in prizes thanks to the generous sponsorship from Yango. Those prizes are split into 3. The first place prize is $500, the second place is $300, and the third place is $200. As I said before, this is only open to Zambian citizens and residents, and we will require proof of that for us to pay out to the winners. So a few competition rules. As with all Zindi competitions, you may only use data sets provided for this competition, and your solution must use machine learning. If your solution places first, second, or third, you must submit your winning solution code so that we can verify that it runs and works as advertised. You are not allowed to share code outside of your team. that constitutes cheating on the Zindi platform. So within a team, you can share code with one another, but outside of the team, you can share advice, but not code. Thank you very much. The solution always should use publicly available and open source coding languages and packages so that it's more accessible to everybody and that there's more of a level playing field. And as mentioned, all participants of the hackathon must be citizens or residents of Zambia. You can also see a full rule set on the competition page. So I'd now like to hand over to Amy. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you so much, Paul.
To take us through the details of the competition.
My name's Amy. I'm a data scientist at Zindi. Zindi, when I first joined, was a bit overwhelming, especially with the talk of machine learning. However, as soon as I took my first step, I realized it's not as scary because of the community around you. So please ask for help, use the discussion board, ask questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the problem we have. I'm then going to go onto the Zindi platform. I'm going to show you where you can click, how to join the competition, where to find the data. And then I'm going to come back to our starter notebook where you can, where I'm going to run through the starting code that will get you started. So even if you have never heard of machine learning before, you can still get on the leaderboard and be in the running for prizes. So the data we have, we had so much fun preparing and looking at this data from Lusaka, from Yango. So this is in Lusaka. Yango has provided road segments. So this is Munali Road segment over here, this one in blue. And each road segment has something called a persistent ID. So that's just your ID segment. And there are 2,097 road segment IDs. So it gets a bit confusing. It took me a while to work it out as well, so don't worry. For every road ID, we've got the average speed or data for the day of the week. So we have 7 days of the week. So we have our first weekday Monday, second weekday Tuesday, other weekday Wednesday. The naming is a bit weird, but that's okay. You're just going to use your data science brain on this. So we've got 2,000 road segments, 7 days, and now you are predicting 2 times. You're predicting 2 rush hours. You're predicting your morning rush hour, which is the whole hour of 6 a.m. So that starts at 6:00 all the way to 6:59, and the whole hour of 6 p.m., which starts at 1800 hours all the way to 1859. So just keep that in mind. That's an important part. So now we've got this information, persistent ID, day, prediction type, and we can use that to identify each segment. And that's called our ID. So we've got 2,097 persistent IDs times 7 days times 2 prediction times, which means we have almost 30,000 rows of data. I've put something in brackets there, minus 562 that don't have targets. Just scrub that from your brain. It's not important. And this is an example of what your ID looks like. So a persistent ID or your road segment ID is this really long digits. So it's 1,001 something something. The first holiday, and if we go up to look at the day, first holiday is Saturday, and the morning rush hour. So that would be data for one type of prediction you're doing. With our 28,000 data set, we split it into a train and test. If you've never done data science or machine learning before, this can be new terminology. That's okay. ChatGPT is your friend. The person sitting next to you is also your friend. So just ask them. So if you do know what a train and test is, what we've done is we've made sure that whole road segments are either in train, so like the Great East Road is in train, and the Lusaka bypass is in test. So there's no way that you can get information about the Great East Road and Lusaka bypass in train and test. I will be going through this again in the starter notebook. So now we've talked about the different, how we identify the data, but now we need to talk about the times, because that's the most important part about the data. Brilliant. So the data is in 15-minute segments, and it starts at midnight. So if you look in the first table over there, we've got 00_0. That means that quarter is from midnight to quarter past midnight. 00_1, that's the second 15-minute quarter. So quarter past midnight to half past midnight. 0002 is the third quarter, very confusing, the third quarter, which is from half past midnight to quarter past midnight, and then the 03 is your fourth quarter, from quarter to midnight to 1 a.m. If you keep reading along that top line, I want you to go to the very last square. I'm going to give you 2 seconds just to see if you can understand. If I had to say to you 01_3, do you mentally get that in your head that is the time? 1:45 a.m. to 2 a.m. These slides will be available on the platform on Zindi, so you can just come and find this recording and scroll back to the time you've got. Okay, now that we're a bit confused about times, it's okay. I'm going to introduce your 2 main variables. We've got count norm. So count norm is the normalized number of car trips. We couldn't tell you exactly that exactly 3 cars drove on this road segment for privacy reasons. So a normalized number of car trips has been provided. If you would like, in your brain, you can just think about that 0.81 cars or 81 cars, if that helps, just like process it in your brain, traveled on one road segment at the time 00:00. So in the segment from midnight to quarter past midnight, at 0.81 cars traveled past. We next have the speed average. Please note this is in meters per second. When I first saw your data, I was like, wow, Lusakans drive quite slow. If you convert that to meters per second, these are average speeds across the world. If you convert meters per second to kilometers per hour. So at midnight, in the first 15 minutes of midnight, in that section, those 0.81 cars traveled at 16.7 meters per second. I'm now going to look at the very last column. So count norm at 1:30 to 1:45 a.m. 0.36 cars drove over that one segment. You can think about it as that Munali off-ramp segment. And they traveled at a speed of 20.98 meters per second. I do have my eye on questions, so if you've got questions, you can start typing them up and I'll answer them live. Otherwise, save them, ask them at the end, asking them in the discussion board. So I've been talking about 15-minute segments, but did you think that we would really be that nice to you? Next slide. We're not predicting every 15 minutes. We're predicting every hour. So you need to predict the morning rush hour, which is at 6 a.m. So we're not predicting from 6 to 6:15, 6:15 to 6:30, 6:30 to 6:45. We're predicting the whole hour. So you would need to take 16.71 plus 16.55 plus 16.22 plus 19.97 divided by 4, and that gives you your average speed hour for the whole of 6 a.m. You would need to do this for 1800 hours or 6 p.m. as well. Next slide. So if you're still following me, great. I'm going to go over this again and I'll start a notebook just to make things a little bit more tricky. And the first, for this predicting 6 a.m., we removed the first half an hour and the last half hour. So you've got data all the way up until 5:30. We have not given you 5:30 to 7:30, and you have to predict the 6 a.m. And the same in the evening rush hour. We've given you until 17:30, and then again we start off at 19:30, and you have to predict what 1800 hours is. Again, I've got my eye on that chat if you have any questions on the comments on the discussion board. I'm now going to share my screen, and I'm now going to walk through the Zindi platform. So this is the Zindi platform. If you can just go into www.zindi.africa. In the top right over here, you'll see a sign up button. I'm currently signed in, so you can see my account. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to your account. You're going to click Edit Profile. I'm from South Africa, but I'm going to pretend that I'm from Zambia today. And I'm going to add Zambia as my country. You can also go to my career section, and would love to know where you are working or where your education is. I went to Rhodes University, so I filled that in over here. However, I can add another one, such as the University of Lusaka, and there it is, UniLas. I'm going to put in the time I worked from. Ooh. And let's say I'm still present. My specialization is a BSc Computer Science. I haven't graduated yet, and I'm just going to click Add Another. Please remember to click Save. I think it's because I haven't filled this in properly. So please do fill in this, that I'm getting a diploma. There we go. I can now scroll all the way back to the top and go to my profile. And I'm going to change my workplace to University of Lusaka, UniLas. As you can see, the country flag is here. And I'm going to click Save. Now that everyone knows that I'm from UniLas and Zambia, I'm going to click on Compete. I'm going to go to Hackathons. And here is the Lusaka challenge. I have already joined the competition, but if you look over here, you'll see that there's a nice big join button, and you're going to click join. When you join, a pop-up comes up asking if you can read the rules. So please read the rules. Paul has touched on the highlights. Please don't share code. Please don't cheat. You can create teams of up to 4. This is the description of the competition. You can read and listen to more about Yango. Our partners in this are Yango, UniLas, and Zyke. Over here, you'll find the live stream. What's great about this is if you get stuck, you can come back and double check what's going on. The evaluation is the root mean squared error. So you can think about this as the standard deviation, and you're trying to minimize the score. You're trying to get that bell-shaped curve to be as small as possible and your answers as accurate as possible. Prizes, as Paul mentioned, a whopping $1,000, which is really impressive. And we also have 500 Zindi points. You can read more about Zindi points at this link over here. If you have any questions about the timeline, please do come look at them over here. If you scroll to the top of the page, you will see that there's a countdown, which I'll show you later. Here are some how to get started videos. So if you're still feeling a bit shaky, come here, ask your friend how to enroll in a competition, how to create a team, and how to update your profile. And here we have the rules. I'm just going to scroll up to the top. This is a lot of information. You don't have to... As a Zindi employee, you have to read all of the information very carefully. As a data scientist, you can skim through it. The competition starts in 36 minutes. So in 36 minutes, when you click on the data tab, more information about the data will become available. I've talked a lot about the data, but not all that information is here. And now in 33 minutes, the data files will become available for download, and you'll be able to find them over here. So just wait 33 minutes. For discussions, I've created a discussion called Introduce Yourself. So if you're looking for a team or you'd like to just tell us where you're from, what you're studying, Chanda, so nice to meet you. Rashid, I'm so excited to see what you come up with. Yeah. This is our leaderboard. As you can see, no one is on the leaderboard yet. However, there is a benchmark score to beat, and I'm going to show you how to create the benchmark score. If you'd like to create a team, I'm not going to go through it in depth, as if you remember on the info page, there's a video on how to create a team, but you're going to create a team called thebomb.com. And you need to invite members by remembering their username. So Chanda, I can't just invite Chanda. I need to go back to see what their username is and click invite. Chanda will then need to go and look at their email address or email account, and they will see an invite from my username, which is Amy Florida. Okay, I'm still looking at YouTube. If you've got any questions, I'll also come back to check on the discussion board. So please ask if you have any questions. Let's go back to the data. When you how many minutes is it now? In 32 minutes, the data will become available. One of the things that will also become available is a starter notebook. Because I'm a Zindi employee, I've already got the starter notebook and I've already got the data. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. If you have Python or Anaconda or Spider on your computer, you can use that. If you do not, don't worry, there's still a place for you to code and it's completely free. It's called Colab. So I'm just going to type in Colab. You can see that I've already got it saved. Otherwise, you can just type in Google Colab. You're going to look for these two signs. You're going to click that. You're going to click New Notebook. Cool. Now we have our new notebook. You're going to click File. You're going to click Open Notebook. You're going to click Upload, Browse. And here you'll find the Yango Starter Notebook if you downloaded it. So this process takes a bit of time just to upload depending on your internet speed. So I'm going to let this upload over here, as I've already opened up this notebook over here for us to go through. There is a video that shows you how to do it. The first step is, once it's finished uploading, you'll see that there's a button over here called Connect. You click Connect. You wait about a minute. You then come to this side. You click on the little folder. You click the little upload button. And you'll be able to download the test train sample submission and graph file by just clicking open. I've already uploaded them here. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to make this a bit bigger so everyone can see. Awesome. When starting off any Python project, the first step you do is you install the relevant libraries. Sometimes if a library is not installed, you need to do this pip install function, and that is to get the GeoPandas Folium library. Again, if you're new to data science and you're freaking out, I'm going to show you what your new best friend is. I use ChatGPT more than I use Colab. So you're going to open up ChatGPT and you're going to keep it open. You don't need the fancy one. You just need it over here. You can see Python correlation, traffic data, project management. I use ChatGPT for everything. Next, we're going to import libraries. We've got our pandas library for viewing data sets. We've got GeoPandas and Shapely. This is important because we're looking at Lusaka and looking at the different spots in Lusaka. We've got Matplotlib and Seaborn. These are for plotting graphs, plotting pictures. And we have sklearn models, which is a random forest, a test train split, and our mean squared error. Now that we've got all our libraries, the most important thing, I think, I've got many important things, is to set your seed for reproducibility. What happens is in data science, there's a lot of randomness that happens, and you can start at a different random point in the data each time. So we've just decided to set the seed as 2023. You can go and change it to whatever number you want, or you can leave it as 2023. But just ensure that you have this cell in your notebook. Over here, we have loading and previewing the data. If you are a more advanced user and you are going to change the path, please put the data path in over here, and we're going to read in our train files, our test files, sample submission, and our graph data set. Normally in machine learning, you just have a train and test file, but this time you have a graph, which is quite interesting. Please, can you just give me a minute? Thank you for your patience. So if you remember back to those slides, here we have our ID, which is your persistent ID, the day of the week, first holiday, which is a Saturday. So we have our persistent ID, our holiday, and then the evening rush hour, which is what you're predicting, 1800 hours. This data set is very long. So here we have count norm. So from midnight, and it's the first quarter, so that's midnight to quarter past midnight. No cars were recorded to have traveled over this period on Saturday at midnight. If we go to count norm 03_1, do you think you can figure out what that is? So that's 3 a.m., quarter past 3, to 3:30 a.m. is period 1. And these are our count norms. So again, no cars were recorded. So this must maybe be quite a suburb road that no one drives around at 3 a.m. We continue scrolling along this data set until we get to our speed average. So this is your average speed. At 9 a.m., so 9:30 to 9:45, no speed was recorded. However, 15 minutes before that, at 9:15 to 9:30, an average speed of 12.34 meters per second was recorded on that specific persistent ID. If you are an advanced or if you are a brave data scientist, I hope you're starting to think of the term forecasting. Would a forecasting model work here? If you have no idea what a forecasting model is, you don't need it. We've set this up so you don't need it. But if you're brave, just maybe forecasting is a good thing to have there. Our test head. I'm going to just go back to our train. We scroll all the way to the end of our train. You'll see there is a target. The first row, if you remember, is our evening rush hour. So for the whole hour of 1800 hours, the average speed for a single road segment on Saturday is 16.1. On Saturday, for that same road segment, the average speed at 0600 hours is 7.5 meters per second. So this is our target. You can see in the morning the cars were going a lot slower than in the evening. If I scroll all the way to our end of the test data set, you'll see there is no target column. This is what we're predicting. We're hoping to create a column, another column called target over here. Over here we have our sample submission. I'm going to scroll all the way to the left of our test data set. We don't want to, when we submit to Zindi, we don't want to submit this big table. What we're going to do is we're just going to take the first ID, and if you see, it matches up perfectly over there. And the second ID, and the second ID. And you are just going to fill in the target value, so which was that missing column in the test set. When I started machine learning, I was like, how do you do that? That's okay, I'm going to show you. If you would like to dig deep into the problem, you can start playing around with this graph data set. It's really interesting. It tells you, I'm going to show you, it's got the persistent ID, which means that you can link it to any of the persistent IDs in the train and test file. It tells you how long the length of road is, 23 meters, 182 meters. It gives you the geometry of the piece of road. Are there traffic lights? Is it in poor condition? The typo name is the name of the road. So this would be Kafui Road. And these would be all the segments of Kafui Road. So again, something to dig into. Checking our train and our test shape. The number I'm going to highlight over here is train has 165 columns, where test has 164 columns. So test has one less column, and that's the column target that's missing, and that's what you're going to predict. The test set size is 34%. It's an interesting number if you're interested in it. Okay, some statistical summaries. So you can say train.describe all, and this creates a massive table. But I hope you're not getting car sick like me. But this shows you what the data is about. So we have 18,000 unique data points. We have 100 unique. There are 7 unique days. That makes sense. There's only 7 days in a week. There are lots of missing values. So as a good data scientist, you need to start thinking, how would you deal with missing values? Would you remove them? Would you drop them? Would you... Let's scroll to the end over here. So we're now looking at our target column. The minimum speed out of all 18,000 rows is 8. The maximum speed is 48. So that's the range we're dealing in. So something I would keep in mind while looking at my test predictions. If something comes out as 2 meters per second, I'll say that's very slow. It's not impossible. But coming back to this table, I would need to rethink. Or if something tells me that it's 180, I'll be like, wow, someone's rushing to the hospital or something. So here we have our target variable. As you can see, we said, what was it? The median. If we go back here, 50% of the data. 50% of the data is around 11.5 meters per second. And here we have 11.5% of the data. That's your average speed. Over here we have that 48, where someone was rushing to a hospital or something. And here we have the people that were really stuck in traffic around, I think it was 8. Somewhere over here is 8. Our outliers. Here we have that 48 that I mentioned about, someone racing to a hospital. I personally go onto ChatGPT to determine the best way to deal with outliers. Otherwise, ask the person next to you. Otherwise, go into Stack Overflow. There's different ways to deal with outliers. Maybe you keep them in. Maybe you remove them. And here we have a tail. Most of the speed data is somewhere between 0 and 25, 24. However, we've got some outliers. So what does that mean? You need to put your thinking hats on. Here are some examples of what to do or suggestions to deal with outliers. You can transform them. You can drop them. You can impute them with the mean or the median. These are things that you can play around with. Ask a friend, ChatGPT again. This is my absolute favorite part of this notebook, the road visualization. So we're using our graph. I'm not going to go into how this is done. I'm just going to show you the parts that you can change. So this is just pulling that graph table. And here you can see all the roads that are provided. And you can zoom in, zoom out. These are the data that Yango has provided us with. The Great East Road has got the most road segments on, where Makishi Road has got quite a few. However, this is only showing you the top 20 roads. If you live on or near one of these roads, I think it would be really awesome if you came here and you just copy pasted this road name and put it in here. Because if we scroll down, there's Manali Road. That's the road from that slide, which is quite cool. And we scroll down further, we've got some time series data. So it looks like there are cars that travel on Manali Road all the way from midnight. It looks like there were no cars traveling between 2 a.m. and 2:45 a.m. as there's no data there. At between 3:15 and 3:30, it looks like cars were speeding. Yeah, really interesting. And if we look over here, the speeds are quite high, between 10 to 12 meters per second. If you look over here, remember I said that we removed some of that data. So we've removed the 2 15-minute segments before 0600 hours for you to predict. Here we've got data from 0730. You can see, look how much slower the traffic is during the day. It's now between 7 and 9, which is compared to 10 and 12. Really interesting. I think it would be fun to play with this data. Maybe you can map the route to your university and see when the best time is. Okay, now we get to the modeling part. This is very fun to do visualizations, but let's do modeling. So we've got our missing values. How are we going to deal with missing values? There are many missing values. It looks like in the train set, no cars were ever on the road at half past 11, 23:30. Again, it looks like cars were not moving at all in the first 15 minutes after 11 p.m. So maybe there are interesting things you can do here. I'm going to leave that up to you to decide. You can go through the notebook, find insights, suggestions, check for duplicates. It's very important to check for duplicates because you don't want to predict the same things twice. Maybe it'll skew your predictions. Next, we have our correlation. Remember those brave people I said think about time series? If you're thinking about time series, maybe correlation features or correlated features might not be the most important thing to do. But because we are doing a prediction regression model here in time series isn't what I'm thinking about, we've done our top 20 correlated features. For some reason, the average speed at 1600 hours or 4:30 is really important. I don't know why. Followed by the average speed at 5 o'clock. So maybe these are interesting features you can do something with. ChatGPT, what can I do with interesting features? Over here, we've created a correlogram, which just shows the correlation between features. So the speed average at 16.2 and how it's related to the speed average at 13.2 is 0.86. What does that mean? Is it good? Is it bad? You decide. So as you can see, the most important part about a data science or a machine learning person is visualizations, the statistics, understanding the data, playing around. I want you to look at this bottom right of my screen. That's how much longer we have to go. And that is all the data modeling part. That is building your machine learning algorithm. Okay, so data modeling. What we're going to do is we're going to take our train set. We're going to drop the independent variables, which is our ID, our persistent ID, our day, our prediction type, including the target. We are then going to split the data. So Zindi gives you a train. You're going to take the train and split it again into a train and test. And we are splitting it again by 0.3. So we've taken a train given and we've split it. This, we are using the model a random forest regressor. And we are now fitting it and training it. Over here, we make the prediction. And we see what our score is. Our score is 1.97, which isn't bad. That's quite a good score, but can be better. Ways that it could be better is if I came back and made more features, less features, if I took into account all these features over here. Maybe I can remove some features. This cell, all the cells and code above this take about 3 minutes to run. This cell and the following cell take about 5 minutes to run. So you might think something's broken. It's not. The computer is just doing its job. Next, we have feature importance. Apparently, the first speed average is the most important feature, but I couldn't tell you why. Maybe this is something you can explore. And finally, making predictions on the test set. So we take our test set, which we read in at the very top of the notebook. We drop the ID, the persistent ID, day type, and prediction type. We don't have to drop the target because there's no target in the test set. And here we use the CLF predict, which is exactly what we did for our when we were practicing on our train set. So we've now predicted it. And now we're taking our submission file. Oh, you're just making a submission file. So you're going to take the ID, this ID, and you're going to match it with the predictions. And here we have our final submission file called baseline. And you're going to write to a file. We're going to click on this over here. We're going to click the refresh button. And here's the baseline submission, which we can click download. That baseline submission is now in my downloads. Go onto the competition page, click refresh. We've got 8 minutes to go, and in 8 minutes, I get to make my submission on the leaderboard, which is quite exciting. A bit of a spoiler is that my score is going to be 2.80 because if you run this notebook, you will get the score 2.80. If we go back to this notebook, it told me my score was 1.97. So why is it 2.80? That is because, remember, this is the Zindi train set that we split into the test and train. We built our model on this test and train. Maybe we can change the size. Maybe we can change the random seed. Maybe we can add different variables. Maybe we can choose a different model. Maybe we can change the number of jobs it does. And maybe that will make the score better or worse. So this score will always be different to this score. Because over here we're dealing with the train, and down here we're dealing with the test Zindi gives you. And Zindi has the answers on our back end, and that's what you are getting over there. I'm here if you have any questions. I'm going to be at my computer all day, so please do put this in the discussion folder. And brilliant. Check, we can see the submit button. So I'm going to be the first person on the leaderboard. So I go here. I'm going to wait. Let me do this faster. So over here's the leaderboard. Over here's my submit button. I'm going to choose a file. I'm going to choose my baseline. And let's see how long it scores for. It's no surprise. It's 2.80, which is exactly what I said. You might need to refresh the leaderboard. The bomb.com is winning so far. Paul, I'm going to hand it back to you for last remarks, but I am here and I'm ready to answer questions.
Thank you so much, Amy. As Amy said, she is available for questions for the next 5 minutes while we wait for the competition to open. It's going to open on the hour at 9 a.m. CAT, 10 a.m. CAT, excuse me. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat now. I do see people are using the chat, so feel free to ask anything you want to ask. It's okay if you're feeling a bit shy, you can always ask it as a question on the discussion forum or ask one of the mentors present at the hackathon itself. So somebody asked on the chat, sorry, let me just share that. So a higher number on the leaderboard that means a better score. Is that accurate, Amy, or is it a lower number is better?
So you are trying to get the smallest number possible. So the closer to 0 you are is the better. So on the leaderboard, my score is currently 2.8. If I can get that number down to 1.5, I'll be very happy with it.
Brilliant. This is not a question, looks like more like a compliment. Shout out to Amy for making it look easy. Yep, I agree. It does. I think it does look easy, and I've tried it, and it's not. But I believe that with some hard work and with some mentorship, we'll all be able to get there.
So just a comment on that. I started off exactly where you were. I didn't know how to open a Colab notebook. So just start, ask questions, ask ChatGPT. I don't have the paid version. I've got the normal version that everyone else has. Ask the person sitting next to you. Ask on the discussion board. It's the only way you're going to learn.
And I'd also say don't get discouraged when the first submission doesn't work the way you think it should, or when your code breaks for some reason, or you can run into some troubles, but don't get discouraged. Any other last minute words of wisdom, Amy? I don't see any other questions, so it looks like you did a really good job.
Or everyone's still trying to wrap their head around that numbers, the time situation. Wow, that time situation took me forever. But ask questions. On Zindi, we say that there's no losing, there's only learning. So if your first submission doesn't work, take a deep breath, try again. Your second submission doesn't work. Take a deep breath, try again. Your 10th submission doesn't work. Take a deep breath, try again, ask for help. If you are at Unilas today, Yassine is there to help you. If you're online, just post it on the discussion board and someone can help you.
Thanks, Amy. Cool. So we are going to go live in 2 minutes. Until then, maybe you can just read through the competition rules, read through the details of the data set, or just go back and rewatch Amy's explanation. We'll go live in 2 minutes.